But let's get the thoughts of my panel. We've got former Labour Minister Bill Rammell, former Conservative MP Michael Fabricant, and Chloe Dobbs, political commentator.
And you know what? The talk of economic doom is really overdone.
Bill, come on. Listen, were you saying to hold on nerve when Liz Truss's mini-budget came out? Come on.
Alex, let's not listen to Liz Truss. I read the financial...
How can you say that when we're listening to Rachel Reeves?
Hold on.
The facts are there.
Well, let's look at independent forecasters. The Financial Times survey of 600 economists last week said the economic gloom news is massively overdone and there are real grounds for optimism. The OECD uprated Britain's growth forecast this year in December by 200%.
Okay.
And just on Thursday, we had M&S and Tesco's with the best Christmas sales figures in years. So, yes, there are challenges as a result of global trends, but what I think the government needs to do is to hold its nerve and see this situation through.
Michael, I'm going to bring you in on this one.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've listened to Bill. You cannot be serious, Bill. I mean, first of all, the United Kingdom is now doing worse than Greece. Greece, where they had to be bailed out by Germany and all the rest of it. And all this nonsense you were saying, if you don't mind my saying, Bill, that we're just doing the same as everywhere else in the world, that's not so either. Because the economic situation was very poor nationally when Liz Truss was doing it, but at least it was in parallel. We're worse than Greece, we're worse than France, we're worse than Germany, and of course, we're worse than Italy. And that is not dictated by politicians, it's dictated by people who actually control the markets. They're the pension funds, they're other countries in the world. We now have a higher rate of borrowing, the Treasury, than any time before 35 years.
Wow.
It's never been so bad, and it's all of Rachel Reeves' making.
But you know, Liz Truss would obviously, she's not here to defend herself tonight, but she would also argue the deep state was involved in this, right? Michael, what do you make of the deep state? Is that a real thing? Is this are they trying to, you know, you're having a look at what's going on with Liz, and then you compare it to what's happening today?
No, I don't believe...
Deep state conspiracy?
No, I don't believe it was a deep state conspiracy. I think Liz Truss's mistake, and I've discussed it with her, actually, was that she didn't...
What did you tell her?
I told her, and she agreed with me, that they should...
fault? Is that what you said?
No. God, you're like a prosecutor. That she should have briefed some of the markets, and particularly the Bank of England, who were selling gold off at the same time, which certainly didn't help. But, you know, there was Blair... not Blair, if only it were Blair. It was Brown... what's his name? I've forgotten his bloody name now. We're talking about Starmer.
So many of them.
Starmer, the man without a personality, saying it cost hundreds of billions of pounds after it crashed. £4 billion, and it was put straight by the Bank of England. They even had to issue a statement to put the lie to what Starmer had been claiming. Just like when he claimed there'd be no tax rises and there were immediate tax rises.
Do you know what, on tax? The tax rises in the budget were necessary, and people by a margin...
Why did he say...
Why
did he say there would be no tax rises? Is it because he's a liar?
No, I'm just coming to that point, Michael.
Oh, right.
I was listening to an economist last week who said that broadly Labour didn't have much option with the tax rises on businesses because the last government, in its last year, should never have cut national insurance by 2 pence in the pound.
But they knew that. So why did he... But they knew that. So why did he say there would be no taxes before the election?
He didn't say that.
He did. He said there would be no tax rises.
Working people.
Chloe, go on. Over to you.
Bill, even if it is the case that these tax rises were necessary, the markets, in order to thrive and in order to be stable, they need certainty. And in order for people to invest in this country, there needs to be certainty and stability. At the moment, people who are investors, they don't know what to think, because at one moment you're told we're going to have a budget for growth and we're not going to raise taxes, and then they just flip-flop every 5 seconds.
But surely the case is right. Look, I just gave you the facts. We've got record amounts of businesses liquidating. Taxes are through the roof. You can't tax your way to growth, can you?
Taxes are not through the roof.
What
you saw on businesses...
He is living in fantasy land.
Businesses...
Michael, real quick word for you on this one.
Well, I remember many years ago as a student in Los Angeles, and I saw a woman being attacked by a guy. I thought he was going to kill her. And I phoned up the Los Angeles Police Department and they said, look, son, you're in Culver City. That's the Sheriff's Department. And I said, well, what's the number? You'll have to look it up. So it's not just in the UK, but I agree, things are grim.
Look, well, Michael, come on, look, you've been an MP as well. I mean, a lot of MPs have second jobs. Keir Starmer made a lot of money in the previous Parliament, as I said. Is this just hypocrisy? Are we just targeting Nigel Farage because he is Nigel Farage?
Oh, I certainly think it's that. But I'll agree with Bill on one thing, because the ultimate arbiters will be the electorate. And either they'll agree with you, Alex, and say, you know what, he's aspirational, he's actually making us try and achieve what he does, or they'll say, oh, he's just a rich bastard. Can you say that at this time of night?
I mean, do you not think the people of Clacton knew this before the election? I mean,
of course they did.
That campaign group had posters up all over Clacton.
Of course they did. But it's more important to actually look at, is it a good thing that MPs have outside interests? Now, you're quite right when you said, do we want monks? Do we want people who've never actually... I came in, I started off as a broadcaster on Radio 4, and then I started setting up radio and television stations in 48 countries worldwide, and I came to the House of Commons with some knowledge of business, unlike Rachel Reeves, but we won't go back to that story again. The point is, though, that I don't think there's anything wrong per se in having outside interests. In fact, it actually can help you present a strong argument in Parliament from your own personal experience, as long as it doesn't get in the way of your main job, which is representing your constituents, and your constituents will be the ones whether you are or not.
Absolutely. I do have to apologise to the audience for the slight use of hoarse language there.
It's after 9 o'clock.
I know. Listen, we don't want to upset anyone, right? Chloe, look, you're a young person. You're about to get into the world of business. I know you're working very, very hard. You're a YouTube sensation. But, you know, looking at the MPs in the House of Commons now, do you find anyone inspiring? I mean, I look at Nigel Farage, I go, actually, that's a man who's made it in life. Even if he quit politics now, he's a very, very wealthy man. I think we should applaud those things, don't you?
Absolutely. I think that we should. Of course, he needs to tend to his constituents in Clacton, and I agree with Bill that he shouldn't be stopped by Parliament from having those second jobs. It's the people of Clacton who will decide if they're happy with what he has done. At a time when we've got Rachel Reeves and the rest of the clown show in the Labour government completely wrecking the economy, I'd quite like a guy who's done well in business. Yeah. Together with Zia Yusuf, Richard Tice, all great businessmen, I'm quite happy about them being in charge.
All right, Bill, listen. Hang on, let me ask you this.
He hasn't done well in business. That was years ago when he was a bond trader. Yeah. These are all jobs that he's taken on because of his public profile.
Well, as a bond trader, maybe he'd do a better job right now. He might know the market better than Rachel Reeves.
But look, ultimately, and I'm not hair-shirt about this, I think you can take on some second jobs, but it's about proportion. Farage is now head and shoulders in terms of external earnings above any other member of Parliament within the House, and I think that is a concern. He also says, look, he's an MP and he's a party leader, and he's still got 22 hours a week he can devote to external activity. That begins to stretch the bounds of credibility to me.
Maybe he just organises his office well, Bill, and he's got good staff.
They call it 9 jobs, but some of these are just passive income streams. So one of them
but 22 hours a week?
No, but one of them he's got down as only, say, 4 hours a week, for example. 4 hours a month. And he sets up passive income streams. He needs to make sure...
Chloe, I mean, look, let's just... Because I don't know whether the public actually care about this, if I'm being honest with you, but what I think they do care about is whether we've got donors influencing that politician, or whether they're able to step away from a job and go, actually, I'm not going to do that job anymore. Like, what's the difference to the public, and who do they care?
I think that the people of Clacton will care if they see that Nigel Farage is completely disregarding his duties to them.
I agree with that.
In terms of the general public, I think they will be concerned if they don't think Nigel is putting in the work to organise the Reform Party. They really have got to pull their act together. I think they're doing a fairly good job so far, but they've got a heck of a big task ahead of them if they want Nigel in number 10 in 2029. He is not going to have time to spend half of his week on other jobs selling tax-free gold and whatnot when he's got that to run. So he's going to have to...
Italian MPs earn about £400,000 a year. Maybe we should be paying MPs more. What do you say about that, Bill?
Should we pay him more?
I think at 91 grand a year, it's a fair remuneration for the job.